Hello guys, welcome back to my channel once more. This is a video tutorial on how I normally do draft and cut my trousers. So pay close attention to what I'm about to show you. The measurement we are working with is trouser length 38, lap 23, waist 34, then round leg 13 and half. So this is the measurement I'll be working with. So pay close attention to what I'm about to show you. Alright, the first thing I normally do is to draw my waistline. That's the first step I normally do take. So this is my waistline as seen. Then I draw the edge line. I call it the edge line on the edge of the fabric as well. Just a straight line down as seen. Okay, make sure the line is straight as you can see. Okay, now let's head back to the waist measurement, which is the very first measurement I'm going to work with. As you all know, I'm working with a waist of 34 inches in length. Now your waist measurements, as you already know, is divided into 4. So what I'm about to do now is I'm about to roll my tape. They call it tape rolling. That is 34 divided into 4. Let's see what we have. 34 into 4. Okay. So 2 half 17. Then divide again. So what do we have here? I'm having 8.5. So 8.5. 34 into 4 is 8.5 plus extra half inch or 1 inch. Then I determine the slope of the trouser is 1.5. I normally do make use of 1.5 for my trouser slope. Then I connect it to the edge, and this becomes my waistline. So the next step is to determine my crush. My crush line is always close to my waist measurement. I'm working with a crush line of 9 deduced from my waist measurement. I can also make use of 8.5, which is the exact waist measurement for my crush. So where my crush stops is where my waistline, my lap line starts from. So this line right here is my lap line. That is where I will start my lap measurement from. So I connect the lines as seen, just as so. My lap measurement is 23. So 23 divided into 2. The lap is always divided into 2. Take note. We're having 11.5. Yes. Then 11.5 plus extra half inch, making it 24. The extra half inch is for your sewing allowance, don't forget. So the next step is to take my trouser length. I'm working with the trouser length of 38, I think. Trouser length, let me check, 38. So take your measurement down. Trouser length of 38. Cute. After then you add your extra 2 inches for your folding allowance at the bottom of the trouser, don't forget. Extra 2 inches. Then I determine the knee line of the trouser. Now the knee line is the midpoint plus 2 inches up. Then the next line I determine is the crush line. This is my knee line, the calf line rather. This is my calf line, and this is the folding allowance at the bottom of the trouser. So what the next step is to determine the midpoint of the trouser from the end of the lap measurements. We pick the midpoint, which is 6.5. So the 6.5 will fall on the knee line as seen, and also on the calf line, then on the round leg line as well. So with this, I've been able to determine the midpoint of the trouser. The midpoint is also where the gator line will fall on when you are done sewing, then when you are done ironing the trouser. So this is the midpoint of the trouser. So the next step is, the next measurement to work with is the round leg measurement. On the round leg, I'm having 23 and I'm having 13.5 rather. 13.5. Now this 13.5, you divide it into 4. When you divide it into 4, the midpoint will fall on the middle of it. So on divided into 4, I'm having 3.5, right? Yes. So the midpoint will fall on that 3.5, which is 7. Take notes. It's not up to 7, sorry, this is 3.5 1/4. The calf line as well, we also carry the same measurements of what you have on the round leg. Then when you get to the knee line, which is the third line I'm working on, is your round leg plus 2 inches, extra 2 inches. So if I'm having 13.5 as my round leg, automatically my knee line becomes 13 plus 2, 15.5. So you divide that 15.5 into 4 as well, then the midpoint falls on it as seen. So 15.5 into 4, I'm having 7.5 1/4, I think here. So you connect each point together to form your trouser shape, just as seen. This is how we normally create the magic you see online. So you connect your lines together, connect each point together to form the trouser line, the trouser shape, from the knee line to the lap line. Okay, now let's determine the curve of the crush. What I do is I pick my midpoint, then I go down by 1 inch hip line. The midpoint becomes the midpoint plus 1 inch down becomes your hip line. So I take my curve just as seen. I normally do make use of freehand. You can make use of French curves if you want to. So now let's cut the front panel. Now make sure your cutting is as neat as your drafting as well as your sewing, because whatever you cut is what you are going to sew. As you can see, we are almost there. Okay, so just pay close attention to whatever I'm doing right now. If you follow this guideline, at the end of the day you are going to have a perfect trouser, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video of how this trouser looks like after sewing. It will be at the end of this video. So probably my next video I will take you on how I normally stitch my trousers as well, but the most important aspect of this is the cutting. So we are done with the front panel. Now let's move to the back panel. Okay, Now you place your front panel on the fabric again as seen, so that we can be able to deduce our, or rather so that we can cut our back panel. We use the front panel to determine the back panel. So make sure your fabric is well placed, the front panel is well placed on your fabric. Then the first step is to extend each point to the back panel of the trouser, just as I am doing it right now, from the lap line to the knee line to the calf line, then the round leg at the bottom. Extend each line to the back panel. This is my hip line and this is my waist line as well. Alright, now most people do add 2 inches all through on the back panel, but what I normally do is I reduce it gradually with 1/4 of an inch. So on the knee line I go down with 1.5 and 1/4, then on the calf line I go with 1.5, then on getting to the round leg I go with 1 1/4. So this will enable the trouser to have that slope, that fitting slope at the bottom. It will give it that fine shape that you so much desire. But some people do add 2 inches all through, but I don't. This is what works best for me, so it's a personal choice though, but I'm just showing you how I normally do mine. So on the back panel of the trouser I extend the waistline with just 1/2 an inch or 1.5 depending on how big the person is, and I go up with 1.5 to determine the back slope of the trouser as well. Then I connect it to where the lap line stops as seen to form my back panel cross slope or curve. Then I curve it as seen, then extend the slope as well. So the back panel is always higher than the front panel with just 1.5 inch. So let's cut the back panel now. Let me cross check this measurement. Okay, alright, now we can cut. So cut with me. As you can see, we are cutting the back panel right now. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done. You can see how neat it is and how pretty it is. So what you just have to do is just to follow what I'm doing, and you have your desired trouser at the end of the day when you are done stitching. Okay, let's see, we're almost there. Yeah, good, we are done with the back panel now. So the next is to determine the front and back of your fabric. Don't forget, so you don't get confused while sewing. So mark it out. Alright, at the end, as I said, this is how the trouser came out. You can see how pretty it is, how neat it is when I'm done sewing. You can see the details and everything looking very pretty and neat. You can see how detailed it is. So probably on my next video I will show you how I stitch my trousers. Thanks for watching. See you some other time. Bye.